Welcome to the ultimate budget planning and budget tracking spreadsheet. This is going to be an excellent way to keep track of all of your income, expenses, and your savings. This budget planning spreadsheet will be for 10 years ending in 2032. As you can see on this first page, this is the budget planning page. On our left-hand side, we have all of our income, all of our expenses, and all of our savings. Across the top, we have our 12 months. We have a totals column, and like I said, we have all the years up to 2032. If you want to condense 2023 and start working on 2024 or 25, etc., you go up to the top where this negative sign is, you hit it, and then you will hit the plus sign above 2024, and you can start working on 2024. To get rid of it, you hit the minus sign again, and you can do this for any year, 2025, 2026, etc. Now, when you condense them all, you will see every year. This is going to be good to keep track of your income over the years. Has your income gone up? Has it gone down? Has your expenses gone up, gone down? And how is your savings looking? So let's start in 2023. Before we begin, we need to go down here to the left on the settings menu. So click on the settings tab. There's a couple things that we need to change. One is the late monthly income. So if we have this active, what this is saying is that if we get paid after the 20th of the month, that income will go towards the following month. So if we get a paycheck on the 21st of October, that is going to show reflected in November's income. If we take this and we make this inactive, if we get paid anytime in October, that is going to show in October's income. So if we get paid on the 29th of October, that will conclude in October's income. If it's active, any paychecks before the 20th will stay in that month. Any paychecks after the 20th go towards the following month. So you decide which one you prefer. The second thing we need to look at is how we want the savings rate to be calculated on our dashboard. Do we want to show the percent of our money that's allocated to our savings, or do we want to show the percent not allocated to our expenses? We'll show you where this is in the dashboard. So once you decide which ones you want, you go back to the budget planning. On the left-hand side, you're going to see income. You're going to have 3 spots for income. Let's go ahead and say work number 1 is our first income. Let's say we work 2 jobs, or maybe we have a side hustle. We'll say work number 2. Now, if we only work 2 jobs, or we need more jobs, what we can do, highlight these last 2 rows, right click, and hit unhide. And here you can add more income categories, or you can get rid of some income categories. Where it is green, you go to the right-hand side of the bottom, and you're going to click on this little square, and you can either add income categories or get rid of income categories. So if you have 3 jobs, drop this down. If you have 4, 5, 6, however many jobs you have, you can add this. If you only have 1, bring it to 1. Once you have your income set, all these extras, we can go ahead and highlight the extras, right click, and hit hide. Expenses. So let's go into our expenses. Let's say we have our car loan. Let's say we have our mortgage. Let's say we have a personal loan. Let's say we have credit cards. If we need more categories, you click on these bottom 2 rows, right click, unhide, and you can add in as many expenses as you need. So let's say we have subscriptions. Now, if you type it in and just click on the row below it, it automatically adds. Let's say we have eating out, and then let's just say an other category. Now, you add as many expenses as you have or need. Any extras, highlight them on the left. Make sure not to include the total bar. Right click. And you'll hit hide. Savings, again, highlight the bottom 2 rows, right click, unhide. You can add as many savings categories as you need, or get rid of savings categories. Anything you don't need, highlight, right click, hide. So, savings. Let's say we're going to save into our 401k. We're going to save for a new house, and we're going to save for college. All right, so now we have our job number 1, our job number 2. These are our expenses through the month. This is what we're going to save for. So let's say work number 1, I make, let's say, $3,000 a month. Work number 2, let's say I make $2,000 a month. Again, you fill these in as needed. February, you can do the same, or if nothing's changed, you can bring this to wherever you need. Work number 2, nothing changed. Let's say in July I got a raise. You continue that, fill out your entire year of your income. So now you can see from work 1, every month you're going to make this much money, and at the end of the year the total will be $42,000. Work number 2, I make this much, the end of the year will be $24,000, and at the very end of the year I make, there's my total. Now at the top, under each month, you see how much money that you're going to be bringing in that you need to allocate in your expenses or savings. So, car loan. Let's say my car loan is $500. Let's say my mortgage is $1,000. I have a loan payment of $200. I have $200 in credit card bills. I have $100 in subscriptions. I spend $400 a month eating out. And my other categories would just be the miscellaneous stuff, let's say $500. So now you can see that all of my expenses for the month equal $2,900. If you look above it at the month, it means there's $2,100 left over that I need to allocate somewhere. So let's say I put $1,000 into my 401k. Let's say I put $500 saved for a house. Now I see I have $600 left over. Let's say we're going to save $600 a month for college. Now, once you have all this entered, you can go up here. You see that January now has a 0 balance, and it's lighting up green, which means all of the money from your income minus your expenses and into your savings all equals out to be $0. So everything is allocated correctly. Now let's say I want to save $600 into my home savings account. Now you see that January shows that there's $100 more than what I made allocated into my expenses or savings. So if we change this back to 500, it goes back to green. So let's do this throughout the year. And again, make sure you fill these in with your numbers, not just these made up numbers. All right, so let's say, you know what, in July we got this raise. Maybe I want to put a little more into my 401k. Let's say I want to do $1,300. Now you see, because I got that raise, January through June are all showing up green, which means I allocated all my funds correctly. But in July, August, September, October, November, and December, I still have money left over. So where do I want to put this money? So let's say I put an extra $500 into my home savings. I still have $200 left over. Let's say I put an extra couple hundred in my college. Now July is perfect. So I can allocate these. Perfect. So now we can see that every month with our income, we have allocated it all correctly. It's all lighting up green. Now, let's say in August, we spent a little bit more on our credit cards. So now our payment is $250 this month. Well, you see that we're now negative $50 for the month of August, meaning we're spending more in our expenses and putting into our savings than what we're bringing in for work. So now we have to take $50 off of somewhere. So let's say we take it off of our savings into our college fund. We took $50 off, we're back to green. So now we can see that all of our income, all of our expenses, and all of our savings, we can see all of our incomes added correctly. We can see our totals for the year. We make $66,000. We're going to put just under $35,000 into expenses, and we're going to put $31,000 into our savings account. That is spread up against our 401k for a house and for college. So now that we have all the year set and ready to go, now we need to go into our budget tracking. Now, the budget tracking, as you can see, this is showing today's date. The date of last record is the date of the last expense, savings, or income that you enter into this table. The number of tracked records is how many records you have actually tracked or transactions you've made. So let's say January 1st. The type is either going to be income, expense, or savings, which aligns with income, expense, or savings. So let's say we had income. Now the category is work 1 or work 2, which coincides with work 1 and work 2. If we had an expense, all of our categories from our expenses right here pull over into the tracking. If this is going into our savings, this coincides with our savings category. So let's say we had income from work 1 in the amount of $3,000. Perfect. Now, let's say on January 22nd, we took that income and we ended up paying on our loan. Let's say we put $100 into the loan payment. On the 3rd, we had expenses. We went to other, let's say we spent $100 and we spent it at Target. Now the detail section, you can add anything in here you want. You don't have to add anything, but if you ever need to categorize these, it makes it much easier to track what's going on and where your money's going. So the next day, we ended up having to pay, or we ended up going out to eat. We spent $100 at Red Robin. Let's say we put some money into our savings. We're going to put some money into our 401k. Let's say we put $500. Let's say on the 13th, we got some more income from our second job. Let's say we got $1,000. Now, as you can see, this is all a running tab of what you have coming in and going out. On the 27th, I ended up paying my mortgage. On the 28th, I ended up getting some more income. Now, because in the settings, I had this set that anything after the 28th gets income for the next month, you can see right here that even though this was January 28th, it's showing up as February 1st. So anytime you see this arrow, it means that income is for the following month. So let's say in February, I paid $20 to Netflix. Let's say I spent on my mortgage, I spent another $1,000. On the 6th, let's say I spent $50 at Taco Bell. Then I paid my car loan. Put some money into my savings. Let's say for I wanted to save for the house. Let's say on February 12th, I got some more income. Let's say I got $500. And this is where you just, every time you make a transaction, you use your debit card, you instantly put this on here. You can run a weekly or monthly bank statement, and you can just copy this over from your bank statement, or you can do it every single day. Let's say I paid $200 towards my credit card, and this was a Capital One card. So, as you can see, you just continue to do this every single month, every single day, every expense, income, or savings, you include these. Now you can see that out of all the income I have, I still have $930 left. I've put 15 transactions in this year. Now these numbers are going to obviously increase. This will probably be more like, in a couple weeks or a month. But once you get all your income in for the year or month or whatever month you're in, the next step is go to the budget dashboard. All right, so this is the snapshot of everything that's going on. Now, let's just start in January. So, over on the right-hand side, we can change the year, or we can change the month to the total year, the current month. We're in January. So now we can see what this means, period complete. So obviously, if we look at the left here, selected year and period is January of 23. It's currently October of 23 right now. What this is saying is how far of the month are we in? Now this is saying 100% of January is complete, which is correct because it's October. Whereas if I was in October of 23, where I am now, only 55% of the month is complete because right now it is the 17th. If I go to November, 0% because it's not November yet. So let's go back to January. We can see that in January, we still have $2,200 of tracked income left to be allocated. If we look to the right a little more, we can see that we have put 12.5% of our income into our savings. If we look, we'll look at this far right one, this far right bar graph. We can see our income, our expenses, and our savings. It is all color coded. If you want to just get rid of one or just see one or the other, you can click on these buttons here. Right below that is how much of our money has gone into our savings. Now, if we put more categories, we would see 1, 2, 3, or 4 different things here. But we only put money into our 401k. If we look at our expenses, we can see that the biggest expense we had, which was $1,000, is our mortgage. The next one is other, eating out, and our personal loan. And you can see the bar or the pie graph of how much of our income was each one of those things. If we look above that, we see that work 1, we've made $3,000. Work 2, we've made $1,000. You can see that the majority of this graph is showing work 1 income and a little bit of work 2. Now, if we look on the left-hand side, we see our income from work 1. We had budgeted to be making $3,000, and in our tracking, we have tracked $3,000, which means we 100% allocated correctly. Work 2, we budgeted to bring in $2,000, but we only brought in $1,000, which is 50%. So let's go back to our tracking and say that we made let's say on January 19th, work 2, we made that extra $1,000. Now if we go back to our dashboard, we see that we've made 100% of what we thought we were going to be making. Now, if we look at our expenses, our mortgage, we budgeted $1,000. We have tracked $1,000 that we have spent towards that expense, which is 100% complete. For other, which could be anything, could be gas station, could be Target, could be grocery shopping, whatever it is, we budgeted $500. We've only spent $1,000, which is 20% complete. We have $400 remaining. Now, let's say for eating out, we budgeted $400. We've only spent $100, which is 25%. We still have $300 left over. So let's say that in January, we ended up spending more back to our dashboard. Now you can see that eating out, We budgeted $400. We tracked $450, which is 113%, which means we're in excess of $50 over. For savings, we budgeted to put $1,000 into our 401k. We've put $500 into it, which means we've gotten 50% complete. We still need to put $500 more into this. Now, all of these numbers come directly from all of your expenses that you've put in here. So anytime you change something, it automatically gets reflected into your budget dashboard. So this column here, the budget column, comes directly from the budget planning dashboard. The tracked column comes directly from your budget tracking. All of your bar graphs and pie graphs will automatically adjust. Now, if we want to see February, because we, in our tracking, added in February dates, we can see where we stand in February. Again, all these graphs will show kind of where we are, what we're spending the most money on, where most of our income is coming from, and where most of our savings is going. We can see our bar graph, income, expense, and savings. And we can see that we budgeted to put $500 towards our new house, but we put $1,000, meaning we're 200% over, or 200% complete, which means we have an excess of $500. We can see all these where we budgeted and what we tracked and what percent complete are those. Again, at the bottoms, we have all of our totals. And then we can see that in February, we're saving 66.7% of our income. Now, obviously, this number is a little inflated because we're just putting in random numbers, but this is a good place to see where your income is going. So let's change the period to the total year. And now, obviously, in our tracking, we only put in transactions for January and February. But we can see that in January, February, we're put 23.1% of our income into savings. This is where all of our expenses are going, where all of our income is, and where we are relevant to our budgeting and tracking. Everything that you update on the budget planning and the budget tracking is directly, instantly reflected in the budget dashboard. Now, if you're on your budget tracking, and let's say we want to figure out where all of our subscriptions are, what we have subscribed to. This is where we can take category, uncheck these, and only click on subscriptions. And now we're going to be able to see all of the subscriptions that we have. Now, obviously, we only put one in, but we can see that we have Netflix that we spent $20 on. This is where taking detailed notes of where your money's going comes into play. You can categorize these by type if you just want to see your expenses, just your income, or just your savings. You can organize by amount. And as you can see, we have January, February, and then some Januaries. We'll go ahead and put this back to ascending order, and now everything's back in order. Again, this is a running balance, the detailed notes, and everything reflected into here.